Hello and welcome to another Times Radio question and answer. Today we're answering comments and questions from our channel members on Frontline episodes and other videos about the war in Ukraine and its impact on the world stage. I'm Philip Ingram, presenting Times Radio Frontline, but a former senior military intelligence officer and commentator on all things geopolitical. Now, our first question we'll get straight into is from Dark Elder. Hey, Dark Elder, do us a favour, can you give us your name? Because it would be brilliant to introduce you, even if it's a pseudonym, but it'd be nice to call you Dave or Shelley or whatever your name is, rather than just Dark Elder. But you know who you are. Given the low price for crude currently, how long can Russia sustain selling at either minimal margin or even at a loss? Very fair point. And actually, it's an important point to bring out because Vladimir Putin is funding his ability to continue this conflict through his oil. And this is why we're seeing the Ukrainians attacking the oil infrastructure. They're attacking the oil storage, which means that Russia can't pump as much out of the ground to store it. They're attacking the refinement capability, so it means that they can't empty the storage to export it. And we're seeing the EU and other countries stepping up and starting to deal with this shadow fleet of tankers that are moving the oil and moving oil products around the world to other places where they can be refined. That will directly impact Putin's ability to sell what he's got on the open market. And of course, as the price is going down, to make the money that he needs to sell even more and again. And he's getting to that point where crude is at a point where he's not going to be able to fund what he's planning to do for much longer. We haven't seen the impact of that yet. He'll be able to ride that out, I think, for a couple of months, but then it'll hit the Russian economy very hard indeed. You then go on to say refurbishing dead pipeline costs a lot more than pumping oil through at a small loss, but without oil sales revenue, how long can Russia continue their efforts? Well, I think that's part of the first element. I think a couple more months before we'll start to see the real impact, but there'll be noises going around the Russian economy with regard to interest rates and with regard to other political indicators as to how it's going to impact. Russia at the minute, its economy on paper is doing okay with some of the indices that it can control, but underneath that, the foundations have been eaten away, and it's the economy is built on quicksand. So I think if we see a collapse in the Russian economy, and this will lead to it, it'll happen quite fast, but in a couple of months' time. Next question comes from Astro. Again, Astro, come on, give us your name. And you you say, do you think Putin should be offered survival and limited interrogation? I think you're making an assumption that Putin is going to be pushed out. Putin doesn't think he's going to be. I think Putin thinks he's winning at the moment. He thinks he's got Donald Trump under control. We just need to see the statements that are coming out from Donald Trump's special envoy, Witkoff. And Witkoff is parroting Putin's lines and everything. So Putin, I don't think, believes that he's in a survival position or needing survival. Unlimited interrogation. Well, if he ever came out into the West, he should be arrested and put in front of the International Criminal Court. That'll never happen. So an important question to address, and something we keep monitoring, and I'd class that into the we hope bracket rather than anything else. Anthony, your question next, and you're asking we're in a globally critical and extremely dangerous situation, as Churchill described it when nobody else would listen to him, a gathering storm. Do you think the West needs to take the threats more seriously and start preparing for potential war? Well, I don't think we need to worry too much about the threats that are coming out of Russia at the moment. Russia doesn't have the ability to take the West on. It doesn't even have the ability to defeat Ukraine, even though on paper it is significantly stronger. But I do think we need to prepare for war, because I think that there is an increasing potential when we look at the economic war that's coming out of the United States with tariffs on China. We look at what's going on in the Middle East, and we're seeing greater instability rather than any moves towards stability. And we're seeing what's happening in Southeast Asia, where it's China's backyard. The impact of the tariffs hasn't hit yet, but we're seeing China not backing down on the pressure that it's putting on the Philippines, on Vietnam, on other regions in the South and East China Seas, and on Taiwan. We're seeing Xi Jinping going on a charm offensive around the region to try and improve China's position. But is he trying to get a greater coalition together should there be a potential fight? And of course, we've got Kim Jong-un in North Korea, who's sitting there happy with the additional international money that he's getting in, selling weapons to Russia, and the technology that he's getting back from that, putting him in a better economic position. He's going to potentially feel at some stage that it's the optimal time for him to try and reunify Korea. We are in a very dangerous position. And given the fact it takes years to build up military capability to be ready for defence, Churchill recognised that whenever he came in and criticised his predecessors for not preparing earlier. We need to listen to that and start to prepare now with the hope that we never have to use what we're preparing for. Walter, you come in next and you say 2 years ago in 2023 when Russia attacked Ukraine, diesel price was high, and you say about 22.60 krona a litre, and now after Russian oil is sanctioned, fuel prices it's down to 15.16 krona per litre. Is this a sign that Putin is struggling economically due to the war in Ukraine? I go back to my answer to the first question relating to this, and yes, the international oil price remaining low is going to hurt Vladimir Putin more than even I think he understands and believes, and it's going to hurt his ability to continue to finance the conflict. It's good for all of our economies. In the UK, we've just seen our inflation rate come down from to 2.6% from 2.8%, and that is a good move, and that was all on the back of fuel prices coming down, and fuel prices coming down will help logistics, it'll help prices in the shops, it'll help manufacturing and everything else, if ever there was good news coming out of it. How long it's going to take to impact Russia, as I said before, I think at least a couple of months, but when the impact does come in, it could be quite rapid. Nick, you come in and say and ask, do you think Ukraine is only relevant to Trump because of the rare earth mineral deal? It's interesting, rare earth minerals. China has restricted the global supply of rare earth minerals that are needed in high-end electronics and weapon systems. About 10, possibly 15 years ago, the United States recognized that China owning 90% of all rare earth metal mines around the world was a strategic threat or a risk, and they started to open up non-economic rare earth metal mines so that they could stockpile what they needed for defence. We heard rare earth metals talked about with regard to Greenland, and we've got the rare earth metal deals being done with regard to Ukraine. It's clearly something that's top of Trump's mind and Trump's list, the threat that there is. And on a side note, about 24 years ago, I had a bet with a friend of mine who works for a large press outlet in the Mediterranean, and put a bet that we would be coming close to World War III, and one of the major issues would be rare earth metals. I placed that bet 24 years ago. It was for a beer. I think I should claim my beer. Joe, final point from you. Due to our current global political leaders, are we heading into scary times? I don't think we're heading into scary times. I think we're in scary times. That's the difficulty. We've got a set of leaders who are not recognising how real the threat is and are not spending what's needed on defence. If you spend and you build your defence capability up, you're reducing the risk of going to war. If you have weak military, then the potential for war grows. And then we've got unpredictable leaders. We've got Donald Trump, and we don't know what he's going to say from day to day, and we don't know whether he's going to change his mind after he's said it. We've got Kim Jong-un in North Korea. And then we've got past masters at manipulation who are thinking in multi-generational terms. Donald Trump's team are working on what the president's going to say in his tweets today and how he's going to change it tomorrow. Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin are looking generations ahead, and therefore they're playing things very slowly. So we're in scary times, and the potential is they're going to get even more scary. But really good point, Joe. Thank you very much indeed. So thank you for watching this week's question and answer and posting your questions. Remember, if you want access to exclusive videos and to have your questions answered, please sign up for Times Radio membership. Thank you. Goodbye.